Hi, welcome back to another class with Domoji Math and Science. In this lesson, we'll be looking at the equation of a straight line. We will start with the basic formula for equation of a straight line and we'll explain how to find the equation of a straight line given 2 points. Later, we will see how to relate two lines together when they are either parallel or perpendicular. That said, let's get to class. Hi, welcome. Now, in the course of this lesson, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to use our comment section. We'll be there to respond to your question. Now, if you have your y-axis and your x-axis, if I have a straight line passing through them, obviously we know that the equation of this line is given as y is equals to mx plus c, where my m is the slope, or you call it your gradient, and your c is the intercept on the y-axis. That's the intercept on the y-axis. This is my c, that's intercept on the y-axis. Now the slope of this line, the slope m, is referred to the rate of change of y with respect to x, which is equals to, if I have, let's pick 2 points on this line. If this is my point 1 and this is my point 2. Obviously, if this is x1, here I'll have my what? y1. Now, if here is x2, here I should have my what? y2. You see that from this point y1, this is y2. Obviously, y2 minus y1, that's the change in y. And for the change in x, you pick it as what? The difference between x1 and x2. That's x2 minus x1. Obviously, you see, if you look at this carefully, it has formed a triangle and there's an angle at this point, so that this change, this equals tan theta, Now, if I'm given 2 points, if you are given 2 points on your straight line, take for example, if I have a straight line this way, and this is my x-axis, here is my y-axis, and I have 2 points. Now is this point 1, and here is probably point 2. Now for point 1, let's point 1 here be the same thing as x here be 3, and let's take x on this point to be 2. And let's take x at this point to be minus 2 and y here to be 1. So that this point is tagged as minus 2 and 1. And this point is tagged as 3 and 2. Now, let's call this point P and let's call this point Q. Now, if I'm asked to find the equation of this line, obviously, the line is also characterized with y is equals to mx plus c. Now, my y here is 1 for point 1, so I can put this as 1 to be equals to minus 2m plus c. Now, for 2 also, I can put this, my y here for 2, my y for 2 here obviously is 2, and my x is 3. I have 3m plus c. Now, I can solve this equation simultaneously. If I'm to solve this simultaneously, let's use the elimination method. Let's call this equation 1, and let's call this equation 2. Let's subtract equation 2 from equation 1. If I'm subtracting equation 2 from 1, this will become negative, this will become negative, and this also will become negative. So that my plus c and negative c gives way, and minus 2 and minus 3 becomes minus 5m. For my 1 minus 2 becomes minus 1. So that minus 1 all over 5 is equals to m, all over minus 5. M obviously is equals to 1 over 5. If m is equals to 1 over 5, the question becomes, what is c? 1 is equals to minus 2 m plus c. So that 1 is equals to minus 2 into 1 over 5 plus c. So that 1 is equals to minus 2 over 5 plus c. Obviously, my 1 plus 2 over 5 is equals to c, which is equals to, let's take this is 5, and this is 5 plus 2. That's equal to 7 over 5. So if C is equal to 7 over 5, now I can conveniently define my equation. My equation obviously should look like this. Y is equal to, my M is 1 all over 5x plus 7 over 5. I can multiply through by 5 so that my equation looks a little bit neater. It becomes 5y plus x plus is equals to 5y is equals to x plus 7. That is, my equation should be 5y equals x plus 7. Please, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to use our comment section. We'll be there to respond to you. Now, for cases where you have two lines on your Cartesian coordinate, here's my Cartesian coordinate, and I have two lines. If I have two lines this way, and I have two lines this way, or let me draw it. If I have these two lines here and two lines here, let's call this M1, M2. The unique thing I've tried to illustrate here is that M1 and M2 are parallel, while M3 and M4 are also parallel. Between M1 and M2, the gradient of M1 and is equal to that of what? M2. Same thing happens to M3 and M4. The gradient of M3 equals M4. Another unique case is when you have two perpendicular lines. Now, if I have my Cartesian coordinates this way, and I have a line this way, let's call this line M1, and there's another line here, such that you meet at a perpendicular point, and this is M2. Now, these two lines, their gradient, one unique thing you must note about their gradient is that the gradient of M1 and M2 will be equals to -1. Let's have an example to illustrate this. Now, our question says that a line passes through the point P with gradient of -1. Find its equation and also the equation of the line CD through P perpendicular to AM. Let's try and do a little sketch of what this line should look like. Now, here's Y and here is X. The line passes through the point P. Point P is tagged at 3. Here is 3. Let's say here is 3. And let's scale this up. And here should be what? 2. So point P should be somewhere around here. And it has a negative gradient. Now, for it to have a negative gradient, I think my line should look this way. Now, if the line passes through this point P, and my M, I've been given my M, which is negative gradient, to be -1/2, then I'm asked to find the equation of this line. I know that Y minus Y1 all over X minus X1 should be equals to M. So that's my Y now -2 over X minus 3 should be the same thing as M, which is -1/2. So that Y minus 2 is equals to -1/2 into X minus 3. Y minus 2 should be the same thing as -1/2 X plus 3 over 2. Now let's Y is equals to -1/2 X plus 3 over 2. -2 moves to the other side to become positive, plus 2. Now this is equals to -1/2 X, now plus 3 over 2 plus 2. That's 1.5 plus 2. That's plus 3.5, which is, that means I can write this boldly to be Y now to be equals to -1/2 X plus 7 over 2. Now, that is the first part of the question. The second part says, and also a line passes through part B with gradient, find its equation and also the equation of the line CD through P perpendicular to AB. The line CD is also perpendicular to AP. Now that means the line CD should look this way. It passes through the same point P and it should be perpendicular. Now from my last explanation, you know that the gradient of both lines M1, M2 should be equals to -1. So the gradient of the first line, we've been told its gradient to be -1. So we can calculate the gradient m2. That means minus half into m2 should be equals to minus 1. m2 negative should be equals to minus 2. Now this cancels. m2 should be equals to 2. Now if the gradient of the perpendicular line is equals to 2 and it passes through the same point, that means y again minus 2, y minus 2 over x now minus 3 is equals to 2. So that y minus 2 is equals to 2 into x minus 3. Y minus 2 is equals to 2x minus 6. Y is equals to 2x minus 6 plus 2 is equals to 2x minus 4. 2x minus 4. With this, we've seen how to find the equation of a straight line. In case you have any gray area, please do not hesitate to use our comment section. We'll be there to respond to your questions. Thank you for staying with us and see you in our next class.